Welcome to Whelmed, where two morons talk about movies. Hello, I'm Jake Durden.
And I am not Jake Durden.
That's accurate. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to do some talking about It, directed by Wes Anderson. Starring...
That'd be amazing. Bill Murray. Skarsgård. Stephen King's It.
Stephen King's It.
You can't talk about the movie without talking about the 90s miniseries.
Of course.
All growing up, my brothers and sisters talked about It a lot.
Yeah.
And they're older than me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to watch it because it was way too scary. So I didn't see it till I was like 27 years old, right? And I watched it and it hurt me a lot. Like I was so disappointed.
You're a little underwhelmed.
I was very underwhelmed by it, right? And it was like long and boring and not scary and like confusing.
I think that also describes what we're doing here. Long, boring, and not scary.
Yeah.
Tim Curry was dope. He's so great.
I agree. So
dude,
for
I
me,
love
that's,
Tim Curry.
That's the thing that works in the TV series is Tim Curry.
Yeah, he's delicious.
And everything else.
I'm not afraid of you.
This is the first time It has been on the big screen.
I love horror movies. I don't see every movie that comes out, but I see a lot of horror movies that come out. Also, I'm in a constant journey to find one that's actually scary. A lot of the times I'm very disappointed, I must say. I saw in the theater, and I was legitimately frightened.
I'm so glad.
I sat next to my sister, and she screamed out loud, and it really made it like a better movie.
That helps.
Experience.
It's good to watch it with people like that.
I really loved all of the kid actors. They all did a great job, in my opinion. The acting was very good. I liked all the casting of all the kids were perfect. I have a big thing for Finn Wolfhard, who's the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
as Richie. Yeah. It was freaking great. I love that kid. Like I kind of want a whole series of just Richie.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Because to me, honestly, I mean, not to make people mad. To me, it was like the answer to the question: what if Stranger Things
was rated R?
Was way better? That's one further. I felt like a little bit that Stranger Things was kind of style over substance sometimes.
Sure.
I said a grain of salt because it's cool. Well, I felt like it didn't. I felt it was good enough to not need it as a grudge. I felt like it was properly backgrounded, as in it was a lovely, base. It was a nice broth to cook what was a substantive narrative meal.
Right. I really, really like Bill Skarsgård. I think
he was great.
That interpreting a character that's already been interpreted in a really iconic way is super hard.
That's a good point, especially such an iconic role.
If it's a clown.
He has those dead shark eyes.
Yeah,
like when you just look up his picture, type in Bill Skarsgård into Google. Or
so Bill Skarsgård is a little bit wall-eyed, which means that it's the opposite of cross-eyed. So I love that Pennywise's kind of freaky dead eyes are totally just Bill Skarsgård acting.
I've always been a fan of movies that sort of that are charitable takes on how hard it is to be a kid, and and that kind of that represent the parent as the clueless figure. Because as a kid, in a way, sometimes it feels like you're the only one who really understands what you're going through, right? And parents don't super get it. They've got their own agendas and issues. When it gets depicted properly, you're like, yes, justice for the kid. It's like, I felt like this. I felt kind of alone.
Right.
Not understood. No one understands me.
Never. A review from Andrew Barker in Variety really sums it up for me.
Okay.
What was not working for me about the movie. He's talking about the first frightening scene where Georgie is talking to It. And he says he's met by a sinister figure calling itself Pennywise the Dancing Clown, Bill Skarsgård, who sweet-talks him inch by inch towards his doom. It's an upsettingly effective scene, and the rest of the film struggles to craft another with similar impact.
Okay.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like that part of the movie is so it's the first part, right? And I'm sitting in the theater and I see that scene and it's so well acted and it's so scary, and then it gets really violent and like shocking. I was like, this movie is going to be freaking incredible. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then never again for me was there another moment that was quite that strong. Once it starts to kind of like fall apart and become like little, like he jumps out of a corner, that kind of stuff, like it's just like cheap. It gets cheaper and dumber until the very end when he's like turning into all of the CGI monsters and they're having like a superhero style battle. It's just like ruined for me by that point.
I just it feels like a conflict that has to happen though, because the movie's talking
could
about
it be dealt with in a different way that works though. I mean,
well, that's what
that's
what I'd like to hear. It's like I'd like to hear what's the better way to do that, because like the battle of, because it's about, in a lot of ways, you know, it's about the kids being strong together.
Yes.
And so we're like, okay, so we need to be, and so thematically speaking, it makes sense for the kids to be united, to be battling Pennywise all together. And it makes sense that since he embodies their fear, that he'd be shifting form because he's been doing that for them and he's trying to match their fear, but it's now less effective because he's a Bogart.
What's a Bogart?
You know, Harry Potter. Did you never? Are you a Harry Potter? I don't know.
I mean, I've seen it.
Andrew.
We're gonna run into this problem a lot.
No, it's okay. There is sort of a problem that the movie creates for itself, or that Stephen King created for himself, and that Pennywise is the embodiment of fear.
Yeah.
And it's a strength and a weakness a little bit in that every time Pennywise changes form to something that isn't our clown, we're a little disappointed. Yeah. Like we actually we're like, oh, okay.
So the other thing I want to say that it's not necessarily it doesn't work, but just that I wish was different about the movie was it's rated R, which I think is the right way to make it, because it's freaky and scary and kids are getting eaten, right? Yeah. So like the one thing that's for me a problem with the miniseries is this just doesn't go far enough.
I don't need it to press the gore button more frequently. I just need it to, I guess I just need it to earn those moments more impactfully.
This movie, if I had to give it a letter grade, I would give it a B, because parts of it were like ready to give me an A, but then it didn't pan out. So I would give it a B.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty generous for me, I gotta say.
No, yeah, it's like, and to me, the movies, I think it's a solid A minus. I was super into it. I was very engaged. I thought the writers worked really intelligently with the problem.
Yeah.
With the problem that the story kind of presented them.